kind of how the Wonder Woman initiative came. It was to be able to solidify this vision that wanted to give honor to other women who had gone through things and then come out, thriving and still being able to use their value to do great in community.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the WIM Speaks Show. I am your host, DP Jeter, holding it down for the #1 sisterhood in the industry, Women in Media Global. Today, we would like to thank our sponsors for this episode, the Center for Black Innovation in Miami, Florida, and also AOI Events and PR. So you'll be able to click the link around this video to get the contact information for our sponsors. I am excited because we have another woman CEO founder here in the studio with us today, and without further ado, I just want to welcome my guest onto the show. Tayo Ishola is the founder of the Wonder Woman initiative. So this initiative launched during Miami Swim Week back in 2018, opening with an inaugural award show in honor of 4 female survivors. Since then, the initiative has curated over 30 events and fashion shows, including a groundbreaking event at New York Fashion Week in 2019. The Wonder Woman initiative has also awarded over 50 women and raised funds to help underprivileged in the city of Miami, Haiti, and Nigeria. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. To kick things off with our conversation, I want to reflect back onto your journey to getting started with the Wonder Woman initiative. What happened in your maybe personal life that really prompted you to start this initiative and aid towards its mission and goals?
Thank you for that question. So in my personal life, I was raised by a single mother, and I remember just growing up, I was born and raised in Nigeria.
Okay.
And I remember always seeing these women. They were usually entrepreneurial. Life had happened to them. Some had 11 kids, a husband that wasn't supportive, and they had figured, a way to provide for their families. Most of them had shops in front of their homes. So they'll build like a little kiosk, something like that, where they'll be selling and doing their trade. And my mother as well was a salon owner. She was always into fashion. She had a boutique. And so just seeing that and seeing how some of the really just the inequality that plagued a lot of women where I came from, because it was there, it was still very glaring. My mother had a lot of struggles because, she wasn't married, she had had a divorce, and I was this child that people would see with her. And so there was that constant just struggle for her to have and find a voice within society. So I think that was a big inspiration for me. And then even when I started, in the fashion industry, it was a no-brainer that I was going to do something that will be honoring to women. So that's kind of how the Wonder Woman initiative came. It was to be able to solidify this vision, that was, I was carrying on the inside, that wanted to give honor to other women who had gone through things, who had to survive different, tragedies, whatever it is, and then come out, thriving and still being able to use their value to do great in community.
I think that's really beautiful. I know that a lot of our listeners right here can relate to the story of one being raised by a single parent, particularly maybe a mother, and then also just everybody just going through something in their lives that they have to triumph over. So I think it's wonderful to have a community that is going to be around you, but also support those narratives and say, hey, although you've been through X, you can still do Y and Z, no matter what happened. You said that you were born in Nigeria. How long did you grow up there before you came to the U.S.?
I was 15 when I first left Nigeria. I moved to South Africa first.
Okay.
And I was juggling South Africa and Nigeria, but most predominantly in South Africa, Johannesburg. And then I moved to the U.S. Right about 17, going on 18.
Were you moving around with your mother?
No.
So what took you to South Africa at 15?
So I started modeling at the age of 14. So I did a competition and I got scouted by an agency that then gave me an opportunity to go to South Africa Africa to model. So that's how I kind of went there. And from there, I then represented Nigeria. It was called Miss Model of the World. It was in China. So I did that. And then shortly after that, the opportunity to go to New York Fashion Week came. And that's how I came to the US. And then Miami then happened. And then I just ended up working and going to school here. And the rest is history.
That sounds amazing. You've been able to live in different countries, different cities, all before the age of 21.
Yes.
What a great experience, for sure. And I'm so happy that even the continent of Africa is getting its just due and representation of having models, mainstream models, which from what I've learned and from what I know, Africa defines beauty. So that is the standard of beauty. So I'm excited to even have you here to have this conversation. And I was traveling. I told you I went to Ghana.
Yes.
So I've been to Africa twice, once to Egypt, and then the second trip was to Accra, Ghana for Dead Sea December.
Nice.
And I must say, I went and there was fashion shows I was able to attend and my mouth dropped. I was like, this is fashion.
It's excellence, yes.
Even the style of the fashion shows and the walks and the garments. And I wanted something from every designer. I mean, even from the street vendors to the high-end designers, it was like, I said, the world does not know fashion. West Africa knows fashion.
Yes, totally. The details, yes.
Images like that, will that be represented in your upcoming event?
Let me tell you. So I'm so excited because we have 2 designers. We did a competition called a Sew It Forward project so we could give back to designers in Nigeria. We had 2 winners. One of them, Dunsi Crafts, she makes these beautiful bags and she has a background in biology, I think, or biochemistry, one of the 2. And she was able to sort of figure out a way to allow her bags to infuse the Ankara African print.
Ooh.
But then she then has it waterproof. So it's like next level, So I'm excited about her pieces. And then the other lady who won, Vivian, and Vivian went to fashion school. She actually does create her own fabric from scratch with like a dye method. And she creates like all the prints and then she obviously sews the pieces. So it's going to be, next level really. And then we have a designer who's based here in Miami, but she's from Liberia. Her pieces are stunning. Aria Koluba is her name. She would also be bringing that very international fashion. But besides that, we have designers that are local to the US, Texas. We have a designer actually who's based in Texas, but she has these artisanal craftsmanship pieces that she creates where it's like very, very ethical fashion and it's made by women in Mexico. So it's really gonna be an international show in many ways.
Wow.
Just bringing talent from all over the world to create something very beautiful, an all-women show.
And so these garments and pieces will be on sale at the event?
It will not be on sale at the event.
Okay.
However, everyone will have the access to each designer's like individual website so they can purchase. For the designers that are coming from Nigeria, bringing their pieces from Nigeria, we are going to be offering like a section or segment within the show where they can auction off their pieces because, it's quite a distance that their pieces have come from. So that as well. And then we're also going to be including a few of them. We do have a marketplace. So a lot of the African designers can now sell their pieces on our marketplace.
Wow. Kudos to you all for just bringing together amazing artists and creatives to showcase and actually coming all the way from Nigeria. I think that's really special.
Yes. I'm very excited about it.
So keep telling us more about the event. Let us know the dates. And I know you have 3 days of events. So let us know what can we expect.
Of course. So it's going to be literally an entire week. Some of the things that we're doing are more so internal to our community. So for instance, on the 6th, we're going to be we're filming something in a cover shoot for our, designers and honorees, which we do have the honoree side of the event where we honor women that are, making change in community. And then the next day, we are going to be going to Lotus House, Miami, which is a women's shelter. We will be doing a design workshop for the women that are there, teaching them some sewing skills and also just exploring the craft of sewing as a healing tool. And then the following day, we're going to have a press media influencer meet and greet.
Ooh, I'm coming to that one.
Yes. That's going to be at the Anglers Hotel. It'll be in the Breezeway. And then Saturday, we have at the Betsy Hotel is the Grand Fashion Show. And that's where we're going to award our honorees as well. It's going to be a beautiful show. I usually am not able to express really in words how the entire thing goes. People really need to come to see
it,
how it all just unfolds. And then the final day is a Women of Influence brunch, which is going to be at Fable, Miami. Very like luxurious, upscale brunch. And we're excited about that too. Our honorees will be there, you know, just a lot of women that are powerful in this space are going to be uniting in that, you know, intimate space.
This is very, very special. So make sure that if you are around, mark your calendars and be there on March
8th, 9th, 10th.
Awesome. And so where can they find information to RSVP for tickets?
Yes, of course. So wonderwomaninitiative.org, and then you go to events. You'll be able to see the lineup of events that we have for that weekend. The 9th is the show specifically. You can also get tickets on Eventbrite. So it will be wfdw.eventbrite.com, WFDW Miami. Literally, you could just search WFDW and you'll see all the lineup of events that we have both on the Wonder Woman website and Eventbrite.
It's Women's History Month, which means that it is vitally important that you intentionally spend your resources and your dollars with women-owned companies, women-owned initiatives. So we're going to kick things right off here in South Beach with the Wonder Woman Initiative. So the interview, we're going to continue to go into the interview, but I had to make sure we got the business out the way in case people decided to click off and not get to the end, okay?
Right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see this all come together.
Yes.
So let's talk more about business. A lot of people in our audience, the women in media, just as you and I, are entrepreneurs and business owners. So talk to me about your definition of success. How do you define it?
Success is an internal thing first. You have to win inside to conquer outside. I define success as a picture that you receive. You receive that picture for yourself. So that vision is not something that might be anybody else's. So that's something that starts with you. You get that picture, then you start working towards that picture, and then every day you're doing that. You're doing all the tasks that will bring you towards that end goal, and every end goal that you get to, that is success to me. So it's not a destination, it's a journey, and it's something that we define for ourselves.
I love that you brought that perspective, and that is not based off of societal norms or what society may deem to be successful or what may look successful. So I really appreciate that answer. So I know you have multiple businesses. You have a lot of different ventures going on. Tell us about, just briefly, the different businesses you have.
Sure. Thank you for asking that. So when I started as a business owner, I started with a brand called Ido Swimwear. However, over the years, it has evolved. It's now called I Am Ido, and I do have a co-founder as well now. It is
That's a big deal.
Yes. So it is a swim resort lifestyle brand. We have jewelry, accessories, shoes, perfume. Basically, it's become a fashion house over the years. And really, Ido it means to be aware. And when I started that, it was again just wanting to help people have a sense of what it means to have an identity, being able to stand in that core. And right now, because the brand has a lot of inspiration that came from my background in Nigeria, and I and my co-founder's background from Nigeria, we then infused, a lot of those names to just sort of really solidify and help people understand the meaning of things, because our names are usually pregnant with meaning.
Yes.
Yes.
You actually should tell us the meaning of your name. Y'all should have saw me here just practicing, making sure that I said our guest's name correctly. So
and I gave you the short version, girl.
Tell us the meaning behind your name.
Sure. So my full name is Tayo. Tayo means a child that represents joy, a child that brings joy. Omo is child in Yoruba. T is like with or is expressing. Ayo is joy.
And then does your last name have a meaning as well?
My last name, it's interesting. My father would always say that it's an oriki. Oriki is kind of like a title, something that you give to like a chief. But if I look at it and try to transliterate, I would say it is a work of wealth, to work for wealth or to work towards wealth. That's what it would mean literally.
Awesome.
I was translating it.
So I know my name is Danielle. Danielle means God is my judge.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what Danielle means. Jeter, I don't know what Jeter means. I probably have looked it up and then forgot about it because it probably wasn't that special. It probably was like English man, this, that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Danielle means God is my judge. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how that brand started.
Okay.
And it really was where the Wonder Woman Initiative was born, because I started working with all these women and I knew that I wanted to make sure it wasn't just another brand. It had to be able to give life, had to have purpose. And so, I started curating these fashion shows where I would bring women together, and I was like, you know what? This has to be a standalone thing, because there were so many powerful people coming, people finding healing and community. And I knew it was important to open it up for other brands to also be a part of that experience. So yes. And then I also have a talent agency, which has models, actors, creatives, called the Gem Talent Agency. And what else? I also have like a private practice. So I am an organizational psychologist, but I try as much as possible to weave everything into what I do. So I'm working with creatives, entrepreneurs, people that are in business that want to be able to thrive despite their traumas and different things that might be stopping them.
Love that. We have like-mindedness. So when I got your information from, shout outs to Ashley Victoria, publicist, I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's interview. Let's do this. Let's do that. Because we relate with the idea of doing things to bring women together in positive environments. And Tayo is an example of being positive in spaces with women, and, an example of women can work together. Women can do amazing things together, and really combating those negative stereotypes that we can't do things together. So we appreciate your work.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for what you're doing as well.
Absolutely. So let's talk about faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So that's Hebrews 11:1. I saw in one of your interviews where you talked about faith being one of the things that kept you going and where you contributed your success. So give us some hope right now. How do you keep faith alive in your daily life?
Oh my God. I thank you for that question. So first things first, it's prayer. So I have my identity begins with God, really. And so I then become a river that is always flowing with substance because of that. Number two, just faith being a vehicle for everything. I realized that if you have faith, if you have that faith and you hold it within you, then there's nothing on the outside that can stop you. When I think about it, I think about, there's that scripture in the Bible that talked about Jesus and his disciples going to the other side on the boat, and then the winds and the waves started to come, and you could see the fear, the doubt in the disciples as they came and said, aren't you worried that, we're going to perish in this? And he comes up and he rebukes the wind. When I think about that, I think about it really as a very personal example that God is there in the back, in the vessel of our hearts. He's there. But things happen sometimes, and we see things that sometimes trouble us on a daily basis that might allow for doubt to sort of try to come in the way. And that's the winds and the waves. And so we have to remember and allow that faith come back up again and pull it from the inside. And he shows up and he's able to rebuke the winds and the waves. And so faith really is the substance of everything.
Yeah. You better preach, sis.
It is.
She forgot to say preacher when she said things that she do.
That's, girl, you got it.
That was awesome.
Faith is everything. It's literally,
it is.
The way I look at it, God gave me a picture. He gave me a vision. It was there. It's the seed he put in my womb to carry. And as I'm carrying that pregnancy, there are things that are going to try to threaten it, try to incite an abortion. There's all of that's going to happen. But I remember who gave me that pregnancy, and I have to keep holding on to it. I have a child that is coming forth. The child has a name. The child has a purpose. The child will do great things in this world. And the more I remember that, it's enough substance, and it will only continue to grow because I'm feeding it.
Wow. Yeah. So that means that you know your purpose, right? That, like you said, God placed it in you. You've identified it, and you're carrying it, and you're bringing it to fruition.
Everything I do is just an expression of that purpose. It's just a channel. It's my vessels. For that oil to flow.
I love that. Yeah. So we're going to stay in this vein of things. Yes. I also saw that you embraced the power of solitude.
Yes.
And this really stuck out to me because I am actually in a course, like a Bible study class, and we're learning all about solitude and bringing that practice as like a worship practice into our daily lives. If you would have talked to me about this a year ago, I would have thought that solitude was a punishment, that I'm being placed aside for whatever reason because of something bad, you know. But this class has reframed me to teach me that no, it's a practice of worship to get closer to God. So talk about how you came into a practice with solitude and what that is like for you.
Of course, solitude, it's like the secret place. When a husband and a wife are in their intimate moment, there shouldn't be anyone else there but besides the two of them. So those moments where you're able to build something, where creation happens, it has to happen in solitude. You know, there has to be you have to be able to quiet all the noise,
right,
and all the different things that are advertising to you that can make you shift your course. You know, even when you're driving in a car, you can't have two people driving at the same time.
Right.
There has to be one person that is focused on that, steering that vehicle to go in a particular direction. So solitude for me plays a big role in everything that I do. I thank God that I've been able to sort of just find that, and every day I practice solitude. No matter how busy it gets, I make sure that I step away and I enjoy that, you know, secret place. And I love music, Lord. I love worship music. I literally can just jet off, you know, and I enjoy that really. And as I said earlier, everything that you're trying to birth or create has to occur in a place of solitude before the collaboration comes into place. Once you get that piece right, then you're able to even select your co-collaborators.
Yeah, I love that. So in practical terms, what do you do in those moments of solitude?
In the moments of solitude, I prefer to be in that space in my bed, because it also gives me this sense of this is my haven. This is that place where nothing else can touch, right? That's me. I put my phone on mute, silent, whatever it is, and I have the music on. I have music on. There are times where I would go, it's called the shofar. You know, the shofar like sound where it's like, I don't know if you've heard it before. It's like a horn.
I'm sure I've heard it before.
It's kind of like a horn. So I like that sound, and it's over like, you know, like very meditative music.
Okay.
I like that. So what that does, it just quiets all the noise, you know, around me. I enter that space. There are times where I would literally just be there, alive with my own thoughts, alive with everything that has happened, maybe in the day or the things that I'm planning towards. And the moment I'm doing that, I'm getting so much inspiration for what I even need to do next, so much more clarity. And then there are times where I would then get inspiration to look at a scripture. I might not know exactly what it says, but then I have to then open and I'm looking through and I reinforce and I'm able to meditate. And in meditation, I then speak it to myself. You know, I speak it to myself until I believe it, you know, until I could feel it in my entire being. So that to me is how solitude works. And I also have learned to create the boundaries around my mind, in the sense that there are times I might not pick up a certain phone call because I know I'm not ready to receive that call. I'm not ready to shift. I have to adjust and put on a life jacket before I, you know, get on that call. So that's basically, I take my solitude very, very, you know, seriously.
I love that we are discussing this, and I'm hoping that you are receiving some great information that you can incorporate into your daily life. I also practice solitude in the morning in my bed, as well as instructed by my class. And, you know, I sit there and I ask, you know, the Holy Spirit to be with me. I ask God to be with me. I ask Jesus Christ to be with me. But then I also ask all three to speak to me. In that moment, maybe I'll hear a word from God, but it might not be until later in the day where I hear something.
Arrange the circumstances so you can see. And I love that. Sometimes I'm like, why didn't you just say it? Like, why do you have to put me through this situation so I can learn it? You know what I mean? But what comforts me is I realize that literally I feel like Jesus is the embodiment of the Holy Spirit in a person, right? And so when you see that movement, you see how he taught his disciples. A lot of times the thing will happen, then he'll say, okay, then this is why, you know, the woman at the well, you know, all these things. He will allow for the occasion to occur. Then he will say, it is given unto you to understand. They might not understand, but let me explain to you why this happened. You know, and so I believe in the power of that physical shaking and moving that sometimes God does to teach us, you know, certain things.
Absolutely. Thank you again for bringing those gems.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot. Lasagna, well, I got the steamer. I bring the fire, but you never seen her. I testify, I don't need a subpoena. They want my soul, better go to Korea.
There's a book that I've read. The author escapes me. I'll make sure that it's included in the show notes. But there was a major takeaway that I took from that book, and it was called A Healing Day, where the author suggested once a month that you would schedule a healing day where you would no devices.
I call it a retreat.
Yeah. No devices.
Yeah.
You go to a place where you can practice solitude, maybe a park or maybe your garden. You just be, and you just ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you. You ask questions, you wait for answers to come, you journal, and you do it for as long as you can, maybe an hour, maybe longer. You know, maybe you can do it for 3 hours, and you'll just get so much revelation. And the idea is that you kind of silence, like you said, the distractions and the noise and the outward world, and you turn inward for that clarity that you need. And so sometimes, you know, we're seeking clarity, we're seeking answers, and it's like if you took moments to practice solitude, to add it into your daily practice, you'll get the clarity because you'll quiet your surroundings to get the answers from God, universe, that's where you need for direction, you know. And so I went from one busy city to another. Miami's a little bit less busy than Philly. Philly is very metro. It's more like a New York. It was so go nonstop, always had something. And you know, I'm grateful that I believe coming here, I was able to find pieces of what I needed to mature in wisdom.
I love it. I think Miami has a gift. I think it does, because this is where I matured as well. Yeah. Because I was in New York initially when I moved to the US.
And you understand, go, move.
I came to Miami, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the haven I need.
Yeah, it's so great, you know. So I'm grateful, you know, that we have these green environments to be around. Let's encourage our sisters listening in. In one of your interviews, you gave the advice, your voice is unique. Let it be heard and let it be truly your own. So our mission here is to remind women to own their voice, which, you know, your story resonated with mine. How do you actively own your voice and the work as an entrepreneur in the entertainment industry? Would you consider yourself in the entertainment industry?
I am.
Okay.
I am, yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
I am. I know I'm in a lot of places, but I am.
Okay.
So I would say in owning your voice, it goes back to that thing I said earlier on about the pregnancy. You have to realize that there's something and maybe you haven't found it. Maybe you haven't honed in on your identity and what it is that you're called to do, and that's fine. And as she said, once you quiet yourself, the answers are there. The answer, like, God wants to let you know. It gives him pleasure to let you know, to reveal you to you. And so when that moment comes, you will receive an answer, as long as it's a promise that as long as you seek, you will find. And so once you receive that, grab it and hold on to it for dear life. The beautiful thing about it is that when you experience something for you, nobody can take it away from you. I experienced it. You can't tell me that I didn't. It is so powerful. And so what that does, and as you own that picture that you've received, that calling that you've received within you, it becomes the fabric, the essence of your own voice. As you step out into the world, you're going to get suggestions. It'll be your family, your sisters, your uncles. They will have their own suggestions, but they're not you, and they weren't there when you received that. They weren't there in the conception phase of that dream that you're carrying. And so remember that voice, that which you received, is so much more powerful than anything else. And it was given to you for a reason. It was given to you for a purpose. It was given to you because you're the one that can execute it, and you have to just hold on to that. Also be willing to receive from people, because you have your midwives. The midwives are the ones that are going to come to help you on your birthing journey.
Oh, I love that.
But you're the one who's carrying the pregnancy at the end of the day. Receive them when you see that there's the help that's coming and it's in alignment with where you're going, but don't shift from your initial voice, because when you shift from that is within you, the impact will be much, much less. When you don't have that authenticity, the impact. I like to think about it like a name. A name is not just a name. A name is an authority. When you say Tayo Ishola, for instance, you think of me. That thought that you have of me, the image you have of me, you think of women empowerment, you think of all these things.
Right.
That is my name. It's not the Tayo Ishola. My name is that authority, the image that comes to your mind.
That is my name.
Exactly. I am dancing.
That is yes.
That is my name.
I love it. Take me to the motherland.
That is funny. That is your name, that is your essence. That is your voice. And that voice is what people remember, and so you don't want to take on all these other things that will dim down the authority that you have with your voice, that unique thing that is only yours, nothing else. It's almost like your fingerprint. Nothing else has the exact same voice like you do. That's my encouragement for women, is to, first of all, find that seed that they're carrying and know it very well. And if you found it already, don't shift. Make sure you stay. I love to journal. You mentioned journaling earlier. I love to journal, and I pin certain journals. And some of the journals that I pin are the ones that are reminding me of my identity. Because the moment you step out, something is trying to redefine it. So my identity, the I am this, is the number one for me. And that's how my voice stays, going in the direction it's supposed to go.
That's very important, that we root ourselves in our identity. And I just want to share how confirming this conversation is to not shift from your message or from, what you are birthing to carry. Because last year, I guess maybe over the last year and a half, I went to a mastermind, got an idea, took it, ran with it, and began to implement the play into my own business. But it was off brand. So it was slightly successful. The format is great, but the message is wrong. And
that's powerful.
And God told me, clearly, get back in your seat. Who told you to move? Who told you?
Wow.
He said, tell your story and tell theirs. Get back into position. And I was like, you know what, guys? This was a great 1.5-2-year run, but we have to end this program. So I made sure that I completed what I said I was going to deliver in the program, and then we closed out the program. And now we are back into position. Shout out to the Center for Black Innovation. And it was so powerful. So it's important that you, like you said, you identify with your message, who you are, what you have, because there's going to be many, many strategies. And I think the strategy is okay, but it's all about, it has to stay on brand.
The strategy, one thing I think about strategy, and I think about any principle is tying to an authority. Principle is, there's an author of the principle. And you got to know who that author is. What's the intention of the author of the principle. And so even in business, I get a lot of different, strategies and this and that. I'm very slow to act on a new strategy, very slow, because I have to go back and see what principle is it tying to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And who is the author of that principle? Because once I shift, I'm messing with even the authority that has been given to me.
Listen, it happened to me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now I'm picking it back up. But, I'm grateful that it didn't go too far, that I was able to hear.
It's good. That restoration when you make that U-turn.
I made the you know. Thank you so much. All right, so continue with the theme of storytelling. How do you think storytelling can help make a difference in the fashion industry to be more inclusive? Do you have any examples of how storytelling has shifted the industry in a positive way?
An example. I mean, the only example I can really point to, because I'm very close to it, is for some of the women that I work with, a lot of the designers I work with. I've seen designers start from trying to hustle their brand and trying to, make it all, work together. But the moment they receive that strategy of telling their story as well, stop hiding as the woman behind the brand. People want to know who you are. People want to know what it is you're doing, what inspired you. And the moment they realize to bring that story to the front, because the story is the genesis.
That's right.
Of whatever project. And so the moment they started doing that, they started seeing more reception, more, people coming into wanting to be a part of, what it is they're doing. So I really believe that for the fashion industry, especially because of the pandemic of fast fashion and things like that, it's very important that people are able to share the essence, their process. One of the reasons I love storytelling is because it gives insight into process. Because there's so many people that see you, that see me and say, I want to do that. And they get frustrated when it doesn't happen that quickly. But there's a process. Danielle didn't start 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? It's been years and years of baking and, and becoming. And so the storytelling helps to reveal the process for people. It also helps to connect to people. And I think for fashion, a lot of brands are doing it. Global brands are doing it. Victoria's Secret is doing it. One of the honorees, that we work with, she's on the board for the Wonder Woman initiative, actually. And she was the first breastless model, for Victoria's Secret.
What's her name?
Christine Handy.
Okay.
And so she did that partnership with Victoria's Secrets, right? And I remember just looking at, the way
that is the story.
Yeah. I remember the way they kind of, shared that and shared her journey through cancer and all of that. And I will connect with that as a person. I would connect with that. I will want to purchase it because of that. So I'm very, very, literally the other day we're talking about beauty, earlier on, and I bought this product that just came today. And, I bought that product because of the woman behind the brand.
Exactly.
I don't just shop, you know what I'm saying? But I bought it because I was like, this is wow. You know, from putting stickers on a bottle to now selling out. I looked at the woman's story. She's a makeup artist that started a brand, and I was like, I'm buying this.
Yeah.
Don't tell me twice.
That's a great point that you bring up for business and just marketing yourself in general. Consumers today really want to connect with the person behind the brand. They want, that's why telling your story, the know, like, and trust factor will be built if you have a face that is sharing about your why, your mission, why you do what you do, because consumers want to be able to connect to a brand. They don't just want to shop the big box brands. They want to be able to empower other business owners if only they knew who you were.
Yes.
So this is your cue.
Yes.
Go on, tell that story.
Stop hiding, sis.
Turn on the camera.
Turn on the camera. Share the story.
Exactly.
Put your heart in everything. Your brand messaging. That's what's gonna make it different. When you do that, there's life. It's not just the physical thing you're selling. You're selling life.
And the great thing is publicists help you bring that story out because we're storytellers and communicators. So get with one. So in what ways do you believe fashion can challenge societal norms and empower women to redefine their identities and narratives?
Fashion is so big. Fashion from ages ago, fashion has been defining things. A person walks into a room, what they're wearing, you already categorize them. You already put them in, okay, this person is affluent, this person is this person is that. So fashion has been redefining and defining the times for ages. And so fashion has to be at the forefront of the narrative telling, even for women. And so it's very important that that storytelling aspect, again, is put into fashion, allows for there to be acceptance and community and inclusivity, because the more and more things are being shown, it takes you seeing something a few times until you're desensitized and it's normal to you. At first it was novel, but then, the more and more you see it, the more it becomes, a norm to you. And so fashion is constantly telling that story that people don't even realize that unconsciously or subconsciously, it's changing their choices and what they think is good or bad and what is right or wrong. And so it's important that fashion is also a part of that movement, and not just the movement for the trends. It's part of the movement from a sustainability standpoint so that it can last beyond the times for our children and our children's children to continue to experience a sense of welcoming that the fashion industry allows for them to experience.
I love that. I recall seeing something with Beyonce, and she was talking about, or it was saying how there's different garments and pieces in her wardrobe that she will be passing down to her daughters that they will have access to and be able to wear, and I thought that wow, that's really cool. You got some great pieces in there that's going to, like you said, withstand time.
Right, withstand time, exactly.
Yeah. In regards to fashion, there is a great designer out of Philadelphia that has worked on my brand and with me for years. I mean, when he caught me, I was hosting my events with button-up shirts and cardigans, and he was like, I have a look for you. Yeah. And he put a look on me. And so we've been working together for about 10 years now. And he also encouraged me to, when I host my events, send out a fashion agenda. So talk to us about a fashion agenda. Like, if we're coming to the Wonder Woman Initiative or any fashion show, what should one wear, like, as spectators?
All right. So usually for the fashion shows, whatever makes you stand out.
Stand out.
People see you before they hear you. So think in your mind, how do I want to be perceived when I go to this event? So that's kind of where it starts. And then a pop of color. For the Wonder Woman Initiative shows, it is usually vibrant. It is colorful. We want people to come. We want them to feel the happiness even in the color. And so think a pop of color. I love a lot of sheer, flowy type of, outfits. Personally, that's just kind of like my style.
And you have great height for it too.
Yeah. Thank you.
It just flow around.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So yes, guests will see a lot of that. Even a lot of the designers. We have House 22. Her clothes are dipped in silk. So you want to kind of think about that and make sure that your garments are really curated, nicely for an event like that, but still be yourself, be authentic.
Awesome. Great tips. I love those.
Yes.
All right. So how do you navigate the complexities of promoting like inclusivity and representation in the industry that is known for historically just keeping people out?
That's a really good question. So I like to deal with heart. I don't work with people because of their physical aesthetic. I work because of how they make people feel. So that's usually my first thing. Number two, I'm very conscious about it. If I see that a show is only having one type of model, I want to disrupt it. So it's just something that I've done over the years. Even when I started my brand, I had to make sure I was including, models of different backgrounds, different skin color, different sizes. And so that's something that's very important to me personally. So even in the show, you will see that we have models who are 5'3", which is unheard of usually for a fashion show like that, but still very stunning and beautiful personality. We have plus size models. We have, models from all over the world, from Asia, models who are Hispanic, models who are Black, so we make sure that when we do like a casting call, we open it to women of power that know how to walk a runway. That's how we say it. You know what I mean?
So height is not a requirement
we took away the height requirement.
Because I'm a little short, but I got to walk on me.
You got to walk. No, we took away the height requirements. Obviously, there's some designers that really, they make their garments super long, and I understand that. I'm considerate of that. So we provide all of the models to them and allow them pick ones that will work with whatever they're presenting with their pieces. But then the designers who create for the petite models, the shorter models work perfectly for that because their sizing, is good for that. So
I'm sample size.
Yes.
Short sample size.
I know, right? Yes. The sample size, I think that's one of the things with the fashion industry. That's why I have empathy sometimes when there are no sizes that run bigger.
Yeah.
Because I understand the struggle. Girl, fabric is expensive, you know, and to create samples in bigger sizes sometimes costs a lot more. So I understand when designers choose to create only one size. But I also appreciate designers who are going the extra mile and creating for
the
all
inclusivity
sizes.
and representation.
Yes.
I love that.
I respect, both people on their journey, and I'm grateful for the designers who are more inclusive that are existing in the space.
I love that. So, remind us of the transformative power that we can expect in the room at any Wonder Woman initiative.
Ooh, Lord. It's going to be all voice. All voices with power. So usually the way the shows kind of run is guests come, it's really nice, very welcoming, they feel at home. We start with an opener performance. We are gonna have Stitches and Marsha L will be performing at the show. So Stitches is a woman who has been very supportive of our initiative from day one.
She's amazing.
She's fantastic. She's a woman of heart, my personal prophet. And I just cannot wait for her to pour out, to the audience with her performance. So
what day is her performance?
On the 9th.
On the 9th, okay.
The 9th, yes. Okay. And also Marsha L, another amazing talent.
Wow.
She is a bionic model, amputee singer.
Beautiful.
She is fantastic. Another woman who has so much heart to pour out. So that's going to be happening. Then we have our honorees. Our honorees are going to be doing storytelling. They'll be sharing their stories, how they went from crashing to triumph. We have Beatrice Louison, who is an icon in the space. She's the president of the Florida Minority FSMDC. I'm sorry, it's a lot of words, but basically the Minority Development Council in Miami. So, supporting minority businesses. Yep. She also is a pioneer in many ways. Excited for her to, share her story, how she kind of rose to such a position. And then also we have Alicia Tulsi. She's created basically the creator to consumer for nurses. She's created a brand of scrubs for nurses.
Oh, it's like an e-commerce brand.
I believe she has a fit. She's based in Boston.
Okay.
But basically she's created something very beautiful and then we're going to have Dr. Jenny Finley. Dr. Finley is a very beautiful story. First time I kind of just heard her speak, I was like, wow, she had breast cancer. I think she got diagnosed at 30. So super young, for a person who's just trying to have her second child around the time it happened. Now free, she is a doctor of physical therapy. So she has now dedicated her practice to helping rehabilitate women who have, just gone through cancer as well. And she
Nice.
was, turning point. And then last but not the least, we have Caitlin Spears. Caitlin experienced rejection on America's Next Top Model. You know, when she was much younger, kind of sent her into like a more like, she had a really bad relationship with her body and with food. And so she has then transformed herself. Now she's a health coach, really empowering a lot of women through her community of fitness. So it's going to be beautiful. You hear all these women's story. We'll have a halftime panel. Design Your Path is what that.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that. I like that title.
Exactly. And so for that, we'll have, you know, some designers, some other people who are community builders, and just kind of showing how you can take the lemons that life gives you and, you know, design your own path, and don't be restricted by the rules that sometimes is placed. Everything that's happening is happening for you. And so
we're breaking barriers.
Yes, breaking barriers. And then the end of the night would be the awards presentation. I know the way I've shared it, I hope it paints a good enough picture, but you literally have to be there to experience the love, the joy, the community, and the glamour.
It really does sound like a room full of Wonder Women, and I'm so happy that Women in Media will be there. So we'll be in the room. I'm super excited about that. So as we wrap things up, we always ask this question, and it is wise words learned from women. So what wise piece of advice have you received from a woman, and who was she?
You know, the wise words that I received, I think that changed, that made me feel like you have a purpose. It's nothing crazy. It was you're going home. And I say that because I was stuck at an airport in South Africa trying to go to Nigeria, and I had a ticket that I hadn't used. You know, like when you don't use the ticket on a particular day, but you want to use the ticket later, you have to pay to like change the dates. Okay. So I had gone with that ticket to the airport, and I didn't have the money for that change. But I prayed. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to get there. I'll talk to the woman who's at the front desk. She's going to say, don't worry, we're going to waive the fee. That was my own master plan. I get to the airport. There's a woman in front of me, you know, and, you know, we start having a conversation. As we're talking, she's asking me about, you know, what I do, where I'm going. She said she was going to buy a ticket for her kids. We're going to be going to Ghana, actually, for the holidays. And then as we're talking, she said she forgot something in her purse in the car, if I could hold her spot for her. So she went, got her purse, came back, and then I let her go in front of me. And then she got her ticket, she left the airport. So it was my turn. I go to the lady who's at the ticketing counter and I say, hey, I have this ticket. She's like, yeah, you have to pay, I think it was $200 to update it. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have that money. Is there anything you could do for me? And she just like raised her voice, step out of the line. When you have the money, come back. And so that was very harsh for me. And I kind of walked away and I just started crying because I didn't even have the money to go back to the house. So I had just the money to go in my taxi to the airport. But before I could let the tears run down, somebody comes and taps me on the shoulder. And it's the woman that had left that I was talking to in the line earlier. And she said, what's wrong? And I told her they wouldn't let me go home because I don't have the money. And she said to me, you're going home. And she pulled me to the line and she paid. And I went home. I cried the entire way because I just felt like, well, I felt like miracles do happen, you know, in that moment. Because I had a different plan in my mind that, you know, somebody else would help me. But that conversation, the way everything happened, she left. Why did she come back into the airport? You know, all of that. But you're going home gave me so much hope and purpose that you're going home. And she looked at me like she knew I had somewhere I needed to be. Like, you're going home because once you get home, a door is going to open for you and you're going to just keep going. And I went home, and that's how I got to go to China to represent Nigeria right after. And then to New York. So it was like, you're going home. I have a plan, you know, like God has a plan for you. So it's very simple words, but to me, it meant the world, and it set me on fire.
I mean, man, that was better than words. You gave us a whole, I mean, I can picture it in my mind as you were sharing about the story. You gave us a story of a woman who was just an amazing person who acted out of generosity.
She's the catalyst for whatever I do today. She is the catalyst for showing up and being an angel for people. That's why I kind of do what I do.
And you acted out of faith. Saying you knew you were going home one way or another. So wow, thank you. This was an amazing episode, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share, and most importantly, check out the Wonder Woman Initiative. Please run down the information for us one more time.
It's wonderwomaninitiative.org. You can click on the events tab and you'll see all the events that we have going on. You also find out more about what we do, our foundation, and everything else.
And tell us your name one last time.
Tayo Ishola.
Tayo has been here on the Women in Media Show. I am Danielle Jeter, and we have spoken. See you next time.